What is up, mathematicians, and happy math time. Today, we are going to be talking about drawing rows and columns to determine the area of a rectangle in an incomplete array. That basically means we're going to get a picture of a rectangle, but not all the square inch tiles are going to be filled in, and we're still going to have to figure out what is the area of this rectangle. Before we get into our lesson today, let's do our I will statements. Remember, your I will statements are your goals for this lesson. They are what we are trying to work on and learn more about throughout our time together today. As we continue on in our lesson, make sure you have your mind focused on these three things and showing them to your teacher. I will read the I will statement first, and then we will read it again a second time together. Make sure you're reading it nice and loudly so I can hear you, but no shouting necessary. Let's go over our I will statements for today. Listen first. I will add rows and columns to complete an array. Read and say it with me. Ready? I will add rows and columns to complete an array. Nicely done. Listen to the next one. I will find area of an incomplete rectangle. Say that one with me. I will find area of an incomplete rectangle. And our final one. Remember, listen first. I will label numbers. Say it with me now. I will label numbers. Good job, mathematicians. Let's get into our review activity today before we get into our lesson. The next activity we are going to do is called popcorn. How this activity works is all students will be started by standing at their seats. You have to listen carefully in this game and make sure you pay attention to your other classmates. How the game works is while you're standing, you will be given some sort of pattern to either count or multiply by that you will have to follow as a class. Now, you have to pay close attention. As you are counting the pattern, you need to listen to your classmates. Only one person will say a number and a pattern at a time. You want to continue the pattern, but if two students try to say a number at the same time, then you have to restart the pattern over. The goal is to get all the way through the pattern with each student saying one number in the pattern correctly. After you say a number in the pattern, sit down so we know that you said a number already. But remember, if two of your classmates say the same number in the pattern, you have to stand back up. Pause and review the directions on the screen now. After you review the directions, play the video to see what pattern you'll be counting by today. All right, mathematicians, let's get into talking about our new concept today as we start to talk about rectangles and using them to find arrays. But what if we don't have all the square units inside like this rectangle here? I want you guys to get your supplies. That includes this graphic organizer, a pencil, and you'll need a straight edge for this activity too. Pause the video, grab your materials, and come back when you're ready. Now that we have all of our materials, let's look at this image together. If we looked at this, an array of square units, it can help us find the area of a rectangle if we're able to count all the boxes inside or if we skip count the rows. But if I look here, we have a small problem. Not all of our rectangle is filled out in square units. I see at the top that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 squares and one long rectangle. Down here, we even have a line that does not connect and a big rectangle at the bottom. Because of all these different types of shapes, we're missing some square units, and it's harder for us to figure out what the square total or what the square units might equal up to be the area. So let's use some of our other materials to help us fill in the blanks here. Let's look at the top row first. We already talked about the top row having 4 squares and 1 rectangle in it. Let's continue down to the second row and see if we can get any more information from there. If we look at the second row, we can see that these square units There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's an extra square unit here. There's one more than the top row. We can follow this line up here, and it divides the rectangle into 2 square units. Let's everybody grab our straight edge, and we're going to draw that line to the top now. Ooh, we want to make sure we line it up. And you can see we had a rectangle to start up here, but now we have 2 more square units. Make sure on your papers you use your straight edge and draw your line now. Because we use the top row to figure out how many square units we're now across, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need to go down and make sure each row should have 6 square units in it because we're working in an array. And remember, arrays have equal rows and columns. Since we have 6 boxes up here, each row will need 6 equal boxes. Let's trace our lines to get 6 equal boxes. So I'm going to connect my line on the side here. Pick up your straight edges, connect your lines. I'm going to go down a row and connect this line over here too, so it goes all the way across. We're basically filling in those missing square units using the pieces they already gave us. Now we're going to draw this line, and we have to go all the way to the bottom now. Now we're seeing that we split this side up into 4 square units. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to trace the line and go all the way down. A couple more square units. I'll do the same thing all the way across. You guys pick up your straight edges and make sure you're doing the same thing now. Your boxes or rectangles should look like my rectangles when you're done. So we're no longer having missing pieces. We have enough square tiles in each row and in each column. Pause the video to fill in your rectangles now. Now that we have our square units and we have a complete array in front of us, let's look at our 2 different lengths and count them together. Let's count how many squares are across the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 squares going across the top, so we know that that's 6 inches because these are square inch tiles. Remember, when we started out in the beginning, we only had 4 squares and a rectangle over here. So it's good that we took our time to split our rectangle into this equal array to help us find the area. You need it to be an equal array to get the proper area. Let's find the length of our other side. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 tiles going down the side, which means we have 4-inch length on our side here. Now, we know how many rows are in our array. We have 4 rows, and in each row, we have 6 blocks growing across. If I wanted to write an equation that could be used to find this area, we could write 4 times 6. And 4 times 6, everyone, shout it out, is 24. Good. So our area, I'm going to write it next to it. Our area is 24 inches. And remember, we put squared for area, so we'll circle that answer. Now, we used our equation to help us figure out, but you can also skip count. So since we have 4 rows, we can skip count by 6 because there's 6 in each row. If we did that, it would go 6, count up by 6 more, we get 12, count up by 6 more, we get 18, count up by 6 more, we get 24. It's the same thing. I'm glad we checked our answer with skip counting. Mathematicians, you're going to continue this activity and look at another rectangle and practice filling in those missing square units. Remember, if you're trying to find an area, you need equal units inside your rectangle. You can then find your equation to help you solve, or you can skip count your rows to help you figure out how many square units are in total that make up our rectangle. Good luck, mathematicians, and I'll see you guys next time.